television.
No, you do, bro. I follow you on Twitter.
Today for amazing deals on everything you need for summer. Get low prices every day at Macy's Backstage. Find a store near you at macy'sbackstage.com. Off price, on trend, arriving daily.
Take the Points is sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing. Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. Take the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAC Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona.
Live.
Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, Take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
It's the first day of summer. Welcome in. Take the Points. Fox Sports 910. We are here live from the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. You can watch live stream on YouTube or on Twitter at Fox 910 Saturday. Jackson Groff. No Mike Gross. Mike Gross's last show was last week. Mike Bauer on the road with the D-backs. So we always bring in, pleasure as always, to fill in when we need somebody. Mr. Ben Garcia at Ben Garcia Show on Twitter. He fills in for the drive in the mornings. Host of the Garcia Show. You can on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great. You know, it's nice to be the consensual sixth man of this broadcast.
Oh, we love you as a sixth man.
It's been good. I'm not a consistent starter. I know my role, and I come off the bench, and I average, 12, 13 points a game. I'm in the mix for the sixth man of the year, and that's what I kind of feel like on this show, so I appreciate being here.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, when we do the show together, it's always a great time, and we talked about how with Gross leaving, if we're going to have another permanent guest, and I just, no offense to you and no offense to Bauer, I know you two guys together with myself, not a great mix. And I know I love Bauer. Bauer's a great guy, and if he's listening, we love doing the show together, but whenever we need a fill-in guy, you're the one to come in, and we do appreciate you coming in here from the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. So without further ado, Ben, let's talk sports. Big win last night for the Diamondbacks, 5-4 against the Phillies. The first time that they played the Phillies since the 2023 NLCS, where the Diamondbacks won not one, but 2 games at the Phillies. How big of a win is this as they head into a weekend series, as they head into the All-Star break coming up here shortly?
You know, it's really hard to put a amount of, how big is this game? Because it's the middle of June. You really are in the dog days of summer. But the Diamondbacks last night getting a win in Philly, in which it's a hostile environment. It might be the best home court, home field advantage in any sport, given that it's basically a college football stadium during a baseball game. These fans are lunatics. And for them to go in there into what people are calling on Twitter now Chase Field East and just beating them pretty handily throughout most of the game. It got a little dicey with Nick Castellanos in the 8th inning, but most of that game was 4-0, and then it went to 4-2, but it never really felt like the Phillies had a chance to win that game. And it's really impressive for this Diamondback team that have, again, it's not a huge anything crazy. It's not moving the standings, but for them to be able to a Philly environment who's been itching to get back at this team since the NLCS, it's a big win for the Diamondbacks and for morale in the clubhouse. And I was really impressed last night because last night was their best chance to win. And now, even if you lose the next two, you just had to avoid getting swept. And now they're playing with house money. If the Phillies are on their heels now, they got to win one of these games. So it is a really good win last night for the Diamondbacks. I don't think it should be understated how big of a win that was.
The Diamondbacks hit 3 home runs last night, and that's one of been the biggest Achilles heel from this team in May was getting the bats rolling. It seems like in June it's been a completely different story. Gurriel, Moreno, Peterson, all against former Diamondbacks pitcher Tawan Walker. You love to see that against a former D-backs player. And I'm not much of a baseball guy, Ben, but I watched the highlights this morning. Tell me if I'm wrong. I felt like the biggest play of that game last night, bottom of the 7th inning, bases loaded, the double play that Mantiply had off that Bryce Harper hit just felt like the Diamondbacks were at ease and kind of used that momentum to the 8th and 9th inning.
Yeah, when Bryce Harper hit that ball, I was literally watching the game on my cell phone as I'm lifting at the gym.
Wow, big boy.
I was so into that game. I was like, oh, that was as big as a game as it can be in the middle of June. But when Bryce Harper hit that ball, I was like, oh no, that ball's going to make it through the gap in the middle of the second baseman and the shortstop. And that ball went right to Joe Mantiply. Credit to him for being able to get that, scoop it up, roll the double play. And that was a huge point in the game for them. And the Diamondbacks bullpen continues to be nails after a real struggle at the beginning of the season. And now with whether it's Mantiply or Ginkel, who walked 2 guys for the first time in like months last night, whether it's Ryan Thompson or Justin Martinez, who's just a K monster, and Paul Sewald, it's just a bullpen that once you hand it off to them, it feels like they're just closing the door every time. So real big plays last night from Ryan Thompson and Joe Mantiply.
Diamondbacks have won 4 of their last 5 games, 7 of their last 9 games. This team in June back to even, 38-38. And you look at the odds for today's game, Ben, they're an underdog, heavy underdog. They're plus 210. As the money line sits, Phillies are minus 255. They're a 1.5-point run underdog, and the over-under there sets at 9 runs. And as we state right now, they're in the NL wildcard hunt, beating the Diamondbacks, plus 150 to make the playoffs. I want to go to a sport where we're both not – I mean, you're probably more familiar with it than I am. With the Coyotes leaving, I know hockey is kind of starting to be dormant here in Phoenix, unfortunately, with the whole land movement and auction getting canceled yesterday. But what's going on right now with the Stanley Cup, I think, is something that we got to mention. Game 7 on Monday, Oilers down 3-0 against the Florida Panthers. Florida outscoring the Oilers 11-4. Since then, Connor McDavid and the boys have been rallying. They have outscored the Panthers 18-5, and they have tied it up 3-3, heading back to Florida. The last team down 3-0 to win the Stanley Cup, Ben, 1942.
Yeah, it's an insanity in its own for the Edmonton Oilers to be able to come back in this series. But in hockey, it's just strange and it's weird. And once a team gets rolling, it's really hard to stop them. That's why it was really important for Florida to sweep this team in Game 4. It didn't happen. And then you let Edmonton get a little bit of momentum by them. And after that, they're playing with house money. They don't expect to win that series. But in the NHL, this isn't a, once in a full moon that this actually happens. But it does happen every so often in the NHL. And now, I haven't checked out the odds for this, but it does feel like Edmonton should be favored in this game with how they're playing right now.
So it's pretty dead even right now. The Oilers' money line is minus 102, and the spread, they're plus 1.5 goals. And then the Panthers are minus 118, minus 1.5. And to your point, I feel like right now, home ice advantage isn't even a thing anymore, as both teams have won on the road and the respective, the Oilers or the Panthers. But what's funny about this too is they mentioned before the series on how the Panthers-Oilers flight is the longest flight ever for a Stanley Cup match, and they've had to do that probably 5 times in the past couple weeks. So they go back to Florida, and this is only great for NHL as the NBA Finals is done. It's great for ESPN and ABC because they get more money, and it's great for us as sports fans because now we get to see a Game 7 in a title match. I'm looking forward to it, Ben. That's on Monday.
Yeah, I was able to catch that game last night, and I caught up to it when it was 2-0 Edmonton, and I was texting some of my hockey buddies, and I was like, oh my goodness, is Edmonton actually going to do this? And Connor McDavid, probably the best player in the NHL right now, definitely a guy, and a Canadian team that hasn't won the Stanley Cup since, I believe, 1993. So this is just big for the country of Canada as well. So we'll see how it goes in Florida. Oh, man, the memes will be great if they blow that one.
So for those listening or watching online, what is coming to the show today? What is to come? What can we expect? Well, at 11:15, our next segment, we're going to take a deep dive into the Phoenix Suns offseason. What are actual realistic moves for this team as the NBA drafts next week? NBA free agency opens up in a week from now. Myself and Ben will kind of wear our general manager hats on, give some advice, and give our input on the Phoenix Suns. 11:30, a guy that's been one of the best in the Valley to cover the Suns, Gerald Bourguet, will join us at 11:30. 11:45, we'll react to the interview, talk more Diamondbacks, and then the second hour, we kind of flip the script a little bit. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs and the NBA finals, our biggest takeaways, look at the odds for next season, and then we're going to look at some NFL win totals for next season. Yes, we're talking NFL football because we're 75 days away from NFL football, Ben, and we're 9 Saturdays from college football. And let me tell you, thank God for the Olympics. Thank God for the Euros and Copa, because right now, I don't know what else we'd be talking about.
It is the dog days of summer. We're only 9 Saturdays away from college football.
9 Saturdays from college football.
I didn't know that. That is exactly what the doctor ordered, because we're in the dog days. Me and Jody Ayler on the Drive with Jody Ayler every week. You know, we talk pre-show. We're like, it's the dog days of summer. It's where we're kind of having more casual conversations about things.
Which is fun, too.
It's fun. It's fun to make up things and be just crazy. Last year, Jody and I were talking Kevin Durant trades, and he had been on the team for 6 months because there's just nothing to talk about in the middle of June.
And then we sit here on June 22nd, and there's possibilities of Kevin Durant not being happy, and you probably end up talking more Kevin Durant trades.
More Kevin Durant trades. But this year, if you want to get really weird, you're talking Devin Booker trades, which, again, no one's rooting for, but it is something that you have to fill time. And so that's what we're doing today, is filling time and coming up with things. And I know you're not a big Euro and Copa America guy, but we'll see how that goes. USA, that is a team, man, that can really make a splash in Copa America. Last time Copa America came, they lost to Argentina in the 4th place game, but they're just much better now. Christian Pulisic and company. Excited to see what they do this year.
A lot going on in sports, and we'll talk all about it. But coming up next, we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns offseason and NBA draft talk. What are actual realistic expectations and moves that the Phoenix Suns need to make heading into this offseason? We'll talk about all that and more. You're listening to Take the Points, Sports 910.
Take the Points, powered by the Sports Clerk at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
You ever have a case of the Mondays? You won't if you tune in to Rockin' the Nooch with Jimmy B from 1 till 4 as they broadcast live from the CAZ Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar. That's every Monday from Casino, Arizona.
You may not have any experience dealing with car wrecks, but Learn on Road does. After your car wreck, you need an attorney to make sure your interests, like car repairs, medical bills, and lost wages, are protected. Finding the right attorney is actually easy. Just look for reputation, experience, and results. Learn on Row has thousands of 5-star reviews, decades of experience, and we've recovered billions of dollars for our injured clients. Hurt in a wreck and need a check? Call Learn on Row today.
Learn on Row is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Attention drivers. Drive smart, Arizona. All City Towing, Arizona's largest towing storage services contractor, reminds you to follow the move over law. When you see emergency vehicles, move over and slow down. Keep our roads safe for all. Brought to you by All City Towing.
Need an all-in-one wireless copier and printer or IT help for your business? Call Document Solutions of the Valley, the official copier and IT solutions company for Rockin' Manooch with Jimmy B. Document Solutions is leading the Valley in business solutions for copier and IT service. They'll support your business no matter how big or small. Take advantage of either buying, leasing, or renting many makes and models of copiers. For a free quote, call 623-252-8282. Document Solutions of the Valley. Our service can't be copied.
If you haven't tried G2G protein bars, today is the day. Find them in your local Costco's refrigerated section or online at g2gbar.com. Incredible taste and packed with protein. They are perfect for your on-the-go lifestyle. Check them out today.
Hey, it's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. You know us for delicious family dinners and huge party pizzas. But did you know we are great at feeding a large group too? Our full catering menu has a ton of variety, so everyone will find something they love. And the best part? We don't charge per head. Just tell us how many people you need to feed, and we'll handle the rest. Check out our catering menu at Venezias.com. That's Venezias.com. Venezias, a family and catering tradition.
Need an electric charger installed or a TV mounted? Contact AZ Electrical Family at azelectricalfamily.com or call 602-577-1392. That's azelectricalfamily.com to book your free quote now. AZ Electrical Family. Power up with the best.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
No one knows the importance of a great assist more than Lowe's and Leo Messi. That's why we've teamed up to give my Lowe's Rewards members 10 times the points when Messi makes an assist during CONMEBOL Copa America USA 2024. Activate this offer starting June 20th, so when Messi assists, you score. Shop the day after an assist to earn those extra points. Not a My Lowe's Rewards member? Join for free today.
This is Joan, enjoying some me time up on the rim. This is Simon and his friends paddling the Salt River. And this is Brad. What they all have in common is that they went to azmbdnow.gov to quickly and easily renew their registration or 30 other services. So go to azmbdnow.gov and get more time to enjoy all the things you love.
Sponsored by KDOT in partnership with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAC Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Yeah, I mean, the conversations have been great, and there's no doubt that we need to look at the whole roster and talk about point guard. I'm sure it's a hot button here, whether it's with you guys, the media, the players, the front office. We need to think about it, and we need to be able to play without one. We probably need to be able to have one. We need to be versatile. We need to be able to play different ways, bigger, smaller. But, I think the point guard position has a place. And we're going to talk about it and figure it out. But I just know we're going to need to be able to play lots of different ways, including without a point guard. Yeah, I mean, the conversation.
That is Mike Budenholzer, the new head coach of the Phoenix Suns, talking about if the Suns need a point guard, the versatility of this team heading into the offseason. And let's be frank, Ben, ever since last year when they acquired Bradley Beal, it was championship or bust mentality in 2023-2024. And they busted. They earned the 6th seed in the Western Conference, but failed to make the first round, or out of the first round for the first time in 4 years. They have a lot of changes needed to be made, not a lot of flexibility, as they cannot trade Bradley Beal as a no-trade clause. Kevin Durant's never happy. And is Devin Booker untradeable as the foundation and centerpiece of the Phoenix Suns since 2015, which is crazy to think about that he's heading into his 10th year. But, Ben, if you are a general manager of the Phoenix Suns and you look at this team, what is the first priority heading into the offseason?
Oh, well, immediately the first thing the Phoenix Suns need is a wing defender. They need to get bigger. They're really, really, really small right now. Whether it's on the point guard side, Bradley Beal's 6'3", Devin Booker 6'4", 6'5", listed at 6'6", but not exactly a 6'6" guy. Kevin Durant is 6'11", not 7 foot. We know he's had that quote. This team is small, and they're really small. Rudy Gobert has been played off the floor in every single NBA playoff matchup known to man. He plays the Phoenix Suns, and he goes off. He was a key contributor in that matchup. For me, it's really, and it's what a lot of the NBA needs. A lot of NBA teams could use a Mikal Bridges or a Cam Johnson to make it in similar terms for Phoenix Suns fans, but a 6'7", 6'8" wing guy is exactly what they need. I look at Ryan Dunn over at Virginia, an athletic guy who you're not asking to score 20 points a night. Just come in and do what they did last year with Tamani Kamara. Lengthy, versatile defender, but they got to get bigger on this team. Otherwise, they're going to get bullied again.
Yeah, and I look at the Phoenix Suns right now holding the 22nd pick of the 2024 draft. And I think we're both in consensus that they need to select somebody in the draft, whether it's at 22 or they trade back and acquire more picks. But for people out there saying, oh, this draft class lacks superpower, oh, it lacks superstar power, it's not talented, I think is completely false. I think when you look at this team and the state of the NBA right now, you've got your two superstars or one superstar, and you build around with a bunch of role players. And I think that's what you see in this draft class is role players. And you talk about wings. Let's go to the free agency side of the wing selection. We've got wings, point guards, big guys, all needs that the Suns need. Free agency-wise, I'm going to name a couple guys and tell me who strikes out to you. Nicholas Batum, Kelly Oubre Jr. Now, these are all veteran minimum guys that they can get because right now, the three teams that you look in the NBA that have superstars that can't afford any other guys but sign veteran minimums is the Suns, the Lakers, and the Clippers. And it's just going to be a rotation of guys every single year, pick and play one-year deals for veteran minimum. So you got Nicholas Batum, Kelly Oubre Jr., Torrey Craig, Robert Covington, Alec Burks of the Knicks, Gary Harris, Cam Reddish, Taylor Horton Jr., Gordon Hayward, PJ Tucker, and Jay Crowder. Now, not an attractive list of some of them, but there's some gems in there that I think, and I wanted to hear your thoughts, that could turn out that are kind of younger, and Budenholzer's had history of kind of turning those veteran minimum guys into high-quality role players.
Yeah, the first one I look at is Kelly Oubre Jr. I don't think he's a vet minimum guy anymore. He played really, really well with the 76ers this year. Nick Batum's a guy who I really like, but I struggle to know if he's going to be a vet minimum guy, given the fact that he can shoot really well and he's a little bit bigger, but probably still a vet minimum guy. I'm out on Cam Reddish. I'm out on Alec Burks, Gary Harris, Taylor Horton Tucker. Gordon Hayward is really interesting for the Phoenix Suns. That's a guy who, mentioned before, he's a wing. He's a bigger wing. He shoots well from three. He's 34 years old, though, right now. You wonder how much he has left defensively. And this Suns team, when all five guys were clicking, weren't an awful defensive teams, although that's what people on ESPN say. A guy like Gordon Hayward, a little flat-footed, but it's just tough. That list shows you right there what the Suns' pickings are. And those vet minimum guys tend to usually go somewhere where they can win a championship. And you could argue Suns might not be there anymore.
Yeah, and another question, too, when you look at some of these wings, and we talked about how, maybe a guy like Kelly Oubre won't be vet minimum guy, and if they do want to go after some of those wings, they might have to sacrifice some guys on their team. And one of the guys that's been also a trade asset that's been rumors for is Jusuf Nurkic. Now, I'm on the side of it where Jusuf Nurkic right now is contract $18 million a year, which plays him top 15 in the NBA, but he played 76 games last year. Second most in his career since 2017. He averaged 27 minutes, 10 points, 11 rebounds. You do keep him. Yes, he's a great big for you, but he's expensive at $18 million. But, Ben, do you think maybe trade him now while the iron's hot, while he is playing the best basketball, he's the healthiest he's ever been? Where do you sit when you look at Jusuf Nurkic?
I'm even more curious to hear what you have to say, because the Jusuf Nurkic slander is really interesting. Jusuf Nurkic is a guy who, he's overpaid at $19 million a year, but it was either him or severely overpaid DeAndre Ayton. He felt like he was the only guy at times that was actively trying on the defensive end, although he's not a great defender. I thought he was the most consistent player at time for the Phoenix Suns. And here's the biggest thing. If you want to trade Jusuf Nurkic, awesome. That's cool. You can do that. Who are you going to get for him? And if that's the case, then what are you going to do with Jusuf Nurkic? Where do you stand on the Jusuf Nurkic talk? Are you pro or against?
I'm pro Jusuf Nurkic staying here. I think you need a solidified big man. I think you need a guy in year two with Durant, Beal, and Booker that knows the system and he knows his role. And you can tell based on his tweets on Twitter that he's happy to be here. He's happy to be in an organization that wants to win a title. And I can tell how his playing style matches what Budenholzer wants to do for this offense. I agree with you, Ben. The trade talks of how they're going to trade Nurkic to the Jazz for Jordan Clarkson, another player. You really think they're going to trade Jordan Clarkson, one of their best players, for one Jusuf Nurkic? I think they need to keep him, certainly. I think another guy that they need to re-sign, and it may be a little more, Ben, is Royce O'Neal, because you do need a two-way wing, and with what he did last year, now he's going to be probably wanting a 3 to 4 year deal, and he's probably going to want $11 to $13 million, but you kind of need that, like you mentioned, that Mikal Bridges for this Suns team. And you don't really have a lot of options right now, and he might be banging for more money, but I think that's one that the Suns got to go and get.
I'm talking over you there for a second, so I apologize. But the Yusuf Nurkic thing is so damning and it's so frustrating because there's Suns fans that hate Yusuf Nurkic, that want him gone for God knows what reason. I guess they haven't seen what a severely bad big man is in the NBA. And then they'll post trades, and social media is just that, social media. I saw one where it said Walker Kessler and Jordan Clarkson for Yusuf Nurkic in a first-round pick. Seriously.
Hey, if they accept that deal, come on this way, Kessler and Clarkson, if they accept that deal.
First off, Danny Ainge is really running that team. You really think it drives me insane that Suns fans, in the same breath, dislike and have all this hatred towards Yusuf Nurkic, but then in the same breath, they're like, we could get Walker Kessler and Jordan Clarkson for him. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I think Danny Ainge is smarter. I think Matt Ishbia and James Jones are smarter on their end. I don't think they're like, for example, the Bulls owner who trades away Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey, which we'll get in discussion later in the program about. So we address that need. We're going to address one more need and one more topic before we have Gerald Bourguet on, and it's got to be the point guard position, Ben. It was brought up all through the season, brought in the offseason, how the fourth quarter woes and how this team kind of looked out of sorts in the fourth quarter down the stretch was because of no point guard. You look at the NBA draft, Tyler Kolek's a guy I like from Marquette. Isaiah Collier might be picked earlier from USC, but he's quick, he's agile, and he's someone that can really run that point guard position. Do they go out and trade, free agency? Where do you sit on your perspective? Let's talk point guards from your perspective.
I mean, point guard, it's so tough because Suns fans out there, this team needs a point guard. This team, there is no head coach, Greg Popovich, Eric Spoelstra, or at this point, the Lakers think they're getting the next Spoelstra and JJ Redick, who think that they're going to get a point guard and then take the ball out of Bradley Beal and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. That's not what they're going to do. Devin Booker and Bradley Beal are going to mostly play the point guard position again, which is fine. That's not a big issue. The issue is they need a backup guy to come in and be able to run the offense when either Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, or Kevin Durant aren't in, because then at that point you can facilitate. So whether it's Kolek, who I like, it's basically TJ McConnell, younger, is where their Suns are trying to go for.
He's older, too. He's 23. So he's got more veteran experience playing in the Big East. I think with Shaka Smart, I think he's a great candidate for it, but you wonder there at 22, I think he's worthy of it. Or do they kind of trade back a little bit? Maybe get yourself a point guard in the second round, like a Jamal Shed from Houston, who can play defense on the other side, but he's a two-way player. So it's interesting there from that perspective if they want to get a backup point guard in the draft.
My biggest issue is this team has much bigger issues than just point guard. They need a wing. They need a backup big. Point guard's third on the list. Yes, they need a point guard, but the reason why the Suns were swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves was not because they didn't have a point guard. They beat that team 3 straight times in the regular season. They weren't big enough. Defensively, they were flat-footed. And at times, guys like Bradley Beal were getting taken off the dribble, and guys like Kevin Durant were not hitting shots. And this team's going to go as those three guys go. So the point guard thing, the point guard discussion gets a little frustrating because they just see it and they don't see the other issues that they have. There's no coach that's going to take the ball out of one of those three guys' hands for a 23-year-old guard out of Marquette. It's just not happening. It's going to be a backup guy. He wouldn't start, but that's my 2 cents.
No, 100%. I agree with that. And lastly, we talk about the point guards, and we'll continue this conversation on the other side of Gerald Bourguet's interview. But when you look at trade market for point guards, very slim. Again, the Suns don't have a lot of trade assets out there. Some names I throw to mind, Peyton Pritchard from Boston, a backup point guard. Maybe he wants to be that starting role after winning a title. Could bring some of that title mojo and experience over to the Suns. Cole Anthony from the Magic, and then another guy, but he might be highly paid right now with the Warriors, is Chris Paul. Do you try to bring him back? Maybe persuade him on his contract and stuff like that? I don't know. That's kind of fishy there. And then the free agency-wise, Kyle Lowry, Russell Westbrook, Spencer Dinwiddie, Reggie Jackson, Pat Bev, Cam Payne, all listed as kind of those vet minimum guys that the Suns could grab there. I know you kind of said some noise about Peyton Pritchard. Does that intrigue you a little bit?
I like Peyton Pritchard. The problem is I don't know if he's going to be a vet minimum guy. That's a guy that's a hard-nosed, gritty. I know that's how we describe every white player in the NBA. And I say that as a half-white man. But seriously, he's a guy that the Suns could use. He's a really good defender at times and a good three-point shot and a good just shot maker overall. Yes, I like Peyton Pritchard, but I really struggle to think that he would come to the Suns because of the fact that they're so hamstrung by the second apron. So I hate to be the doom and gloom guy because that's what I feel like I am 95% of the time. But
you got to be realistic.
It's just tough. It's just tough. And I don't want to blow smoke for the Suns fans who think that that people are going to take vet minimum contracts to come here because that was the case last year. And then we saw what the Suns are. So it's a really tough discussion. I think they're probably going to have to draft a guy.
So we'll continue the discussion on the other side. But coming up next, Gerald Bourguet, PHNX, will bring some insight and some light into the conversation on what the priorities must be for the Phoenix Suns. That's coming up next. You're listening to Take the Points, Fox Sports 910.
Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Any car dealer in Arizona can compete on price. That's what dealers do. But not many dealers can compete on customer satisfaction. Like Wright Toyota. Make the right choice. Wright Toyota in Scottsdale, just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard, and online at wrighttoyota.com.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they've won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Investing in a high-quality misting system from Fogco will be the coolest decision you ever make for your home patio, pool area, or commercial property. Fogco, the Valley's original manufacturer of high-pressure fog systems, is one of the pioneers in the misting industry for over 35 years. Let Fogco transform your outdoor living and entertainment areas into a cool and soothing tropical showcase. If you're looking for quality, reliability, and value, get a free quote at fogco.com. That's FOGCO.com.
What's up, guys? Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, #SexyRoofStatus. All of our work using state-of-the-art materials and 5-star workmanship. Our inspections are free. You heard me? Free. Go to state48roofing.com to schedule your free appointment today.
There's something that binds us all. The constant hunger to improve. The obsession with every detail. And the reward of a custom fitting taking your game to a whole new level. We're all bound by 2 words said by golfers worldwide. Schedule your fitting at Vans Golf Shops. Find your local store at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
You ever have a case of the Mondays? You won't if you tune in to Rockin' the Nooch with Jimmy B from 1 till 4 as they broadcast live from the CAZ Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar. That's every Monday from Casino, Arizona.
Choosing the right lawyer after a car wreck is important. You need to consider the law firm's experience, results, and reputation. Lerner Rowe stands above other law firms when it comes to experience and results, helping over 150,000 people recover billions of dollars for their injuries. When it comes to reputation, we have thousands of 5-star reviews, and year after year, we have been voted best personal injury law firm in Arizona. Call us today and let us put our experience, proven results, and reputation to work for you.
Lerner Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
It's not just about what we put into the wash. It's also about what comes out. We can learn a lot about our kids and who they really are. Tide and Downey, proud supporters of
he's on the line.
P&G's Can't Cancel Pride stand as allies within the LGBTQ+ community and believe in everyone's right to embrace their true selves. Learn more at can'tcancelpride.com. And happy Pride Month from Tide and Downey.
Joe Brown here with Accident Law Group. If you were hurt in an accident, find us on the web at accidentlawgroup.com.
iHeartRadio is the exclusive audio home of NBC's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics. It's the only way to listen to exclusive NBC play-by-play action of Team USA, plus NBC's top Olympic moments, original Summer Games podcasts, and live hourly updates from the games in Paris on the iHeart app and right here on this station. Be sure you have the free iHeart app, the exclusive audio home of NBC's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Welcome back in. Take the Points, Fox Sports 910, Jackson Groff alongside Ben Garcia. The NBA draft kicks off in 4 days, with the first round being on next Wednesday, second round on Thursday. The NBA free agency opens up in 8 days, and now joining us here on the show to bring some insight on how the Phoenix Suns will approach both of those in the offseason. One of the best to cover the Phoenix Suns in the Valley. It's PHNX Suns lead writer and co-host of the PHNX Suns podcast, Gerald Bourguet, joining us. Gerald, thanks for the time as always. My first question to you, this year being 2 days for the NBA draft, are you a fan of it, or are you a fan of just having 2 rounds for 1 day? Where do you sit on that?
You know, I'm kind of interested to experience it just because I feel like the 2 rounds of the draft are super long and it gets dragged out to like 4 hours. But the second round being at like 1 p.m. local time and 4 p.m. Eastern, who is going to be watching that except for like us absolute NBA sickos? Like they did themselves no favors with the way that they scheduled this. So I got to say, overall, I'm probably not a fan of it, although it does kind of like at least break up the workload for us writers a little bit.
You know, Gerald, it's really funny when it comes to the NBA draft. It's in a couple of days, and still it feels like no one knows about it. I know you've done a huge deep dive of prospects and players. Instead of just asking you who your favorite prospect is, in this draft, what is the number one need that you believe the Phoenix Suns need? And also, would you pick need over talent? If there's a guy like Tyler Kolek who maybe isn't the best need for the Phoenix Suns, but it's the best player on their board, is that what you would go? Or can the Phoenix Suns, they can't afford to do that? Is it just a point where they got to go need and they got to go the best player at that need position? No, it's a big word salad there, but it's a lot that the Suns got to do with the NBA draft. And I'm curious your take.
No, I mean, just the fact that your question came out as word salad kind of speaks to the number of different avenues that they could go in with this draft. Like, it's not even a you thing, really. It's we got a lot of bases to cover in terms of how they could approach this. Like, they could stay at number 22 and draft the best player available. They could trade up if they really like somebody. They still have that 2031 first-round pick that will become trade eligible on draft night. They could trade down if they're looking to add another second-round pick, trade down a few spots just because there should be a couple of good options available in that 20 to 29 range. So there's a number of options they could use. I think people here in the Valley have kind of gotten used to not caring about the draft because A, they haven't had a pick since 2020, and B, we've heard that they're going to be aggressive. They could potentially shop that pick if it can land them an established veteran who can help now. But I do think drafting young talent should be a priority. You look at all these other teams around the league that have been able to sustain their success, and the reason they've been able to do it is because they are adding young, cost-controlled talent that can come in and contribute for the long haul. So I think their biggest priority at number 22, if they stay there, is finding someone who can contribute. And to be honest, they have needs at every position. They need a backup point guard pretty badly. They need bigger defensive-minded wings, and they could use more depth at the center spot. So honestly, no matter who comes across the board at 22, I think they should take the best available player because they've got needs all over the roster.
Are you in the camp of keep the pick and draft someone, or trade back? Like, there's 3 different options, right? You could trade back, accumulate more picks because we know that they don't have any, or would you stick and pick, or would you find a win now player and go all in on this year and try to whatever it's chemistry or cohesion, and then add another player, a veteran guy? Where are you at? Stick and pick, draft or trade it away, draft later, or go get another veteran guy with that pick?
Yeah, I think for me, like, I don't think trading up is a good idea. I love Devin Carter. He's one of my favorite prospects in the draft. He's probably going to go top 10. But you'd have to give up either a player or that 2031 first-round pick. And to be honest, you don't have a ton of assets to offer in order to move up in the draft. So not sure that that's worth it unless you're absolutely sure you can get Carter and you really like him. I think if you stay at 22, it depends on who is on the board at that point. I think you've got some flexibility there because I think there will be some intriguing options there, but some of them could be available a few picks later. So you look at teams that have multiple picks in this draft. The New York Knicks are a good example. They have picks at 24, 25, and I think 38, something like that. The Timberwolves are at 27 and 37. So and the Jazz, they have 29 and 32. So maybe if you offer one of those teams a chance to trade up a few spots and then snag their second round pick in the process, now you get 2 cracks at it. That's kind of my favorite option, but it also depends on who's available because, you know, we've seen James Jones not be afraid to reach for guys that he likes if they're available at a certain point in the draft. I would like to see a little bit better asset management on that front in this draft, just because there are a number of options that should be available in that range.
Gerald Bourguet, PHNX Suns, joins us here on Take the Point. So when you look at the Suns offseason as a whole, we talk NBA draft being a priority. What would you say outside of that, either on the roster or player options or free agency? What would you say the number one priority for the Suns heading into next week will be?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be nailing their vet minimum additions. I think at this point, like re-signing Royce O'Neal is a pretty much a foregone conclusion. They're going to bring him back on a 3 or 4 year deal, probably around, $11 to $14 million a year. So that's going to happen, but you got to nail your vet minimum additions better than last year, which is tough because I think last year, a lot of us here in the Valley, including myself, were pretty high on the guys that they were able to land for what I thought was discounts compared to what they could get on the open market. But a lot of those guys didn't pan out. Half of them were gone by the trade deadline. So you really need to do a better job of addressing your needs. I think adding a veteran backup point guard would be a big help. I think adding more wings, interchangeable guys who can defend and knock down threes on the other end would be huge. And then, like I said, like that center spot could use some depth. We're seeing Drew Eubanks is opting out of his player option, which I think upgrading that spot would be huge for them. There are a number of decent centers who could be available. You're just going to have to convince some guys to take a slight discount compared to what they might be able to get elsewhere.
Gerald, kind of a 2-part question. I'll ask the first part first. Do you believe that the Suns, just given your conversations, are going to be a destination like they were last year with Yuta Watanabe or Keita Bates-Diop or Drew Eubanks, whoever it is? Do you think that, or it's going to be a way harder this year to convince guys to try to come play for a championship with the Suns?
I don't think it'll be harder. I think they've got an aggressive owner who's very involved. I think they're still a very attractive destination. I think a lot of people are not high on the Phoenix Suns right now, including especially here in the Valley. But I still think this is a very attractive destination to want to play for. And to be honest, looking around the league with the new salary cap rules, the second tax apron, all that good stuff, like there are about a third of the league that are going to be dealing with some of these restrictions in terms of not being able to use a mid-level exception or not having a ton of cap space to offer. So I do think, like, outside of the big names, that free money that's out there is going to dry up pretty quick. And suddenly playing on a vet minimum with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, playing for a well-known coach like Mike Budenholzer and playing for an owner that's going to be aggressive in pitching you, I think that's going to appeal to a lot of guys again. So I don't think that it's going to be difficult to get guys to sign here.
That's really interesting. Then I have a guy in mind really quickly. Lonzo Ball looks like he's going to get bought out from the Chicago Bulls. Is that a guy that you feel like is a vet minimum guy and as well can solve a lot of the issues with the Phoenix Suns? He's a bigger guard. He's a defensive-minded guy. You're not going to ask him to shoot the ball a million times. But is that even a guy you thought of? But that is just someone who I've seen and actually I believe fits the mold that can really take this Suns team to the next level if his injury concerns are finally fixed. Is that something you've even thought of, or am I being crazy?
No, so I have seen his name come up. I do think the injury concerns are too much. And also there is the fact that, like, his contract prior to being bought out, if the Bulls do buy him out, was I think around $21.4 million. And the Suns, as a second tax apron team, you can only sign a guy on the buyout market if their contract prior to being bought out was $12.9 million or less. So Ball wouldn't even be allowed as long as they're currently above the second tax apron. They have ways that they could, if they dumped Nurk's contract somewhere, they could slide back under that second tax apron. But I don't think you just dump your starting center for nothing.
Right.
And then sign Lonzo Ball, especially with the injury concerns. Like, he hasn't played in, 2 or 3 years now. So
Yeah.
That's probably my biggest concern. I do like Ball on paper, and I hope he's able to figure things out and stay healthy in his next destination. But for a team like the Suns that's kind of all in right now, that might be a little bit too much of a risk for one of their roster spots.
My last question for you, Gerald, and we appreciate the time as always. That 22nd pick, who would you select if you had a top 3 guys? If your board is available, who would you select there at the 22nd pick? Who are you kind of looking at?
Yeah, so my top 3 guys are probably Yves Massi. He's the center out of Baylor. He's projected to go somewhere in that range, really good rim running center, and he has the defensive potential to be kind of a Clint Capella, but more switchable type, which is really intriguing to me. I really like Tristan Da Silva from Colorado. He's a wing. I think he's 6'9", so he's got really good size, really great touch from 3, and he projects to be kind of a versatile defensive forward, which is something that they could need. I don't know if he'll be available that late. He might go a few picks before that. And then I do like Tyler Kolek. I think if you're looking for a rookie point guard who can come in and contribute right away, like him and Devin Carter are kind of the 2 that I see being able to do that. Kolek is much more of kind of the floor general that I think people in the Valley want right now. He's got to prove that, his burst can hold up at the next level, that he can defend because he is a little undersized. So opponents are going to pick on him. They're going to target him and stuff like that. But he's got just a brilliant basketball mind, great playmaking, and he can shoot the ball as well as a spot-up guy. So he kind of checks some of those boxes if they are looking to go point guard in the draft.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Gerald, for the time. Thank you for the analysis as always, and we appreciate you coming on and hope to have you on soon after the NBA draft and the NBA offseason kicking away. But we appreciate you as always. Keep up the great work.
Absolutely. You guys too.
Gerald Bourguet, PHNX Suns. Love having him on. We're going to react to the interview on the other side. We'll be right back. Fox Sports 910.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Arizona's headquarters for Toyotas is Wright Toyota. Hey, Rock, for my friends at Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. You will always find the right deal at Wright Toyota. Wright Toyota has been driving Arizona's home for years with their amazing service, pricing, and great selections. I encourage you to discover the difference at Wright Toyota. Make the right choice, Wright Toyota, just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard, and always online at WrightToyota.com. The right price, the right selection. Check out WrightToyota.com.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they've won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
Need an electric charger installed or a TV mounted? Contact AC Electrical Family at aceelectricalfamily.com or call 602-577-1392. That's aceelectricalfamily.com to book your free quote now. AC Electrical Family. Power up with the best.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
Hey, it's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. You know us for delicious family dinners and huge party pizzas. But did you know we are great at feeding a large group too? Our full catering menu has a ton of variety, so everyone will find something they love. And the best part? We don't charge per head. Just tell us how many people you need to feed, and we'll handle the rest. Check out our catering menu at Venezias.com. That's Venezias.com. Venezias, a family and catering tradition.
Attention drivers, your safety matters. All City Towing, Arizona's largest towing storage services contractor, proudly sponsors the Move Over Law. When you see flashing lights, remember to move over and slow down. Together, we can protect our roadside heroes. Drive safe, Arizona. Sponsored by All City Towing.
There's something that binds us all. The constant hunger to improve. The obsession with every detail. And the reward of a custom fitting taking your game to a whole new level. We're all bound by two words said by golfers worldwide. Schedule your fitting at Vans Golf Shops. Find your local store at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Derek Jeter as the pinch hitter for your baseball team.
Jeter, you're in. We need a home run.
I'll give it a try. I've swung a bat once or twice.
That's out of here. Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA member FDIC.
It's not just about what we put into the wash. It's also about what comes out. We can learn a lot about our kids and who they really are. Tide and Downey, proud supporters of iHeartRadio and P&G's Can't Cancel Pride, stand as allies within the LGBTQ+ community and believe in everyone's right to embrace their true selves. Learn more at can'tcancelpride.com. And happy Pride Month from Tide and Downey.
Live.
Welcome back in. Take the Points, the only local sports gambling radio show. I'm Jackson Groff, joined in by Benjamin Garcia. You can follow me at Jackson Groff on Twitter and all social media. You can follow Ben at Ben Garcia Show. We have a quick segment here, but let's kind of react to what we heard from Gerald Bourguet there. Some interesting nuggets. The Lonzo Ball thing, did not know about the whole buyout market that they cannot grab. They can only go for veteran minimum guys, Ben. But I think for the prospects that he mentioned there at 22, the Baylor center is interesting in how he compared him to Clint Capella. We both kind of nodded our heads at that Tristan Da Silva pick because just the wing, he's big, lengthy. All their Colorado players this year they're going to have probably three guys go in the first round, and then Tyler Kolek, a guy we mentioned in the previous segment, he's kind of that Peyton Pritchard type scrappy guy, but he's old and he's got veteran experience there. What was your kind of biggest takeaway from that interview?
I really loved Tristan Da Silva thoughts from Gerald Bourguet there, because Tristan Da Silva, a lot of the things you just said, he's a bigger defensive-minded guy. But the biggest thing that I really like what the Suns are doing, or at least vetting through this process, because Gerald, I'm sure, has his idea of where the Suns might go, as well as guys that he likes, kind of a combination of both. And Da Silva is an older guy, and I feel like that's what the Suns need. They are in no place right now to bring in a project type of prospect. And Da Silva's a guy that I really like from Colorado. Him and Cody Williams, like those two, those are probably some of my favorite prospects in the draft. Kolek is so interesting to me because he's so small, and I don't know what he could give for this team on the defensive side of the ball. And he's just really, really small. I don't love that pick, but that's why they pay Gerald the big bucks and they don't pay me that.
Yeah, I think for Tyler Kolek's sake, I think he's smart. I think he's got high IQ, and I think the way that he sees the court is definitely something that he could bring to the Phoenix Suns. But you talk about on how these guys are older, and that's one of the courtesies and I guess blessings, what you had for that extra year with COVID is you had a lot of guys with NIL and the transfer portal stick around longer, just like how we saw this year for the NFL draft, the Penixes of the world and the Bo Nix, and we'll see how they translate in year one, but you're starting to see some of those quarterbacks in year one translate better because they played so much ball. Now in the NBA terms, you see a lot of guys who played 5-6 years in college and start to transition well in the NBA. So you're starting to see some of those classes like the Dalton Connect, who's going to go early in the draft too. But just some nuggets there from Gerald Bourguet, and it was interesting to see what he said about the market out there and what the Suns can attack. But you can look at all his stuff at PHNX Suns. But real quick, Ben, let's talk about the bigs that the Suns could get after. Free agency-wise, or draft? Are there any bigs that stick out to you that the Suns could go in and grab? As you said, that was their second priority, is getting a backup center.
It's tough because Suns fans, they see Andre Drummond. That's a guy that I really like for the Suns backup big. I don't think he's going to be a vet minimum guy. You and I have talked Zach Edey off the air. I really like the idea of the big body of Zach Edey, and we'll see what he can do defensively. He's a little flat-footed at times over at Purdue. That is a market that feels even slimmer for the Phoenix Suns. But if you can't get an Andre Drummond type or someone else to come fill that void, there's really not someone off the top of my head that I think, oh, they got to get this guy. It's just they got to fill that need, and I'm not sure how they're going to do it because there's just not much out there.
And to your point, too, we live in an NBA where it's all positionless, and you see a bunch of athletic bigs that start shooting threes like Al Horford or a guy like Rudy Gobert that you said was so athletic that the Suns couldn't guard him because Yusuf Nurkic just couldn't move the way that Gobert does. So do you go and get a guy that's a stretch 4 or a stretch 5, like a guy like Cal Filipowski, or like he mentioned, Messi from Baylor, that's more athletic, that can rebound, but also stretch out to some of the perimeter guys like you mentioned with Gobert and stuff. It's definitely interesting. I think some free agency guys to mention. I mean, these aren't sexy picks, but maybe they're younger. A Jackson Hayes, a Mo Bamba, a Xavier Tillman, or a Luke Cornett from the Celtics. Daniel Tice, Mason Plumlee. Again, that department is super thin. That's why, to our point earlier, I think the Suns should keep Nurkic just based on what the market's giving you in free agency.
Yeah, Mo Bamba's nice, but that means you're not going to bring back Bol Bol because they're basically the same player at this point.
I love Bol Bol.
Yeah.
I love Bol Bol.
A lot of Suns fans like Bol Bol. Xavier Tillman, I don't mind. The Cornette pick from the Celtics is a guy who I think can, with having more playing time, can be a real defensive facilitator as well. So I would like him to be able to come in for the Suns if they could get him. But again, I don't know why Luke Cornett would leave the Celtics. It's a guy that they could pay, and why not keep some of your core guys? But if a Mo Bamba type just leads me to believe that Bol Bol won't be back if that's the case. It's too much redundancy.
A lot of question marks for the Phoenix Suns, but as Gerald Bourguet stated, he thinks that the Suns are in a good state right now, and I agree with him. There's a lot of holes to fill, but if there's anyone to do it, Matt Ishbia, Mike Budenholzer, and the core there can get it done. That'll wrap up hour number 1. On the other side, we're going to look back at the NBA playoffs and NBA finals, give our biggest takeaways, as well as look at the NBA odds on who's going to win the title in 2020. To take the points. I'm Jackson Groff. That's Ben Garcia. We'll be right back.
Claire.
Take the Points has been sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
Life's a sprint. Meet G2G protein bars. Grab and go fuel for the office, links, and daily grind. Score an 8-pack at Costco or explore flavors at G2GBar.com. Quick, delicious, power-packed G2G protein bars. Setting your pace.
A small commitment at least 1 day a week helps reduce ground-level ozone pollution and helps us all breathe easier. Reduce traffic congestion and ozone-causing emissions by teleworking. Visit maricopa.gov/AQ to learn how you can help.
Ever wolfed down a Big Mac and thought, I could use some extra cash? Meet Drop, the ultimate rewards app. Earn free gift cards for getting your daily coffee or late night drive-through effortlessly. Just link a card, shop, and watch rewards stack. With Drop, it's like getting paid to indulge. Download Drop now and start earning. Use the code DROP22 for $5 in points instantly.
Your floors can go from clean to dirty fast. From juice spills, whoops, to muddy paw prints, to little sticky finger marks. Good thing your Swiffer WetJet works fast too. Swiffer WetJet easily cleans everyday messes as quick as they happen. The next mess is right around the corner. So grab your Swiffer WetJet and just spray, push, all clean.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd, Monday from 10 to 1. Fox Sports 910, KGME Phoenix, KESC HD3 Phoenix.
Earlier, Portugal with a 3-0 or 3-0, if you want to be grammatically correct in soccer, 3-0 win versus Turkey. And this match was halted 4 different times when fans needlessly ran onto the pitch to snag selfies with Cristiano Ronaldo to update on their Instagram. Meanwhile, Cameron Young, he fired a 59 today, 11 under, third round of the Travelers Championship. It's only the 13th sub-60 round in PGA Tour history. He's minus 13 for the tourney, and that puts him in a share of the lead with 2 other guys, including Scotty Scheffler, who was 13 under, 2 under today through 5 holes. Young and Scheffler atop the leaderboard. I'm Brian Fenley.
The Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electric needs, call Parker.
Widely scattered thunderstorms as we wrap up the afternoon hours. We'll top out around 110. Tapering storms overnight. We drop to about 90, but your Sunday could be just as noisy. A 40% chance for thunderstorms, the high 108. For the Fox 10 weather experts, I'm Corey McCloskey.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. The innovation you've been waiting for is here. The Big Cheez-It Crunch Wrap Supreme and Tostada from Taco Bell. 16 times the size, 16 times the cheesiness, 16 times the innovation. Get one today at participating stores for a limited time while supplies last.
Take the Points is sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing.
Jax, you know the clock better than I do, bro.
Dude, I got a timer on my
sports gambling
on
radio
the stream.
show.
That's pretty
Take
accurate.
the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAC Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys your life covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Hour number 2 of Take the Points, the only local sports gambling radio show in Arizona. We are here sequestered nicely at the CAZ Sports Bar and Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. They got a bunch of TVs going everywhere. We've got some soccer, some UFC, some softball, college baseball. They got the Sportsbook all the way in the back as well. If you want to come in and cash your ticket or even place a ticket, they've got the kiosks as well as all the desks over there too, where people like Casey, who's going to be joining us at the 12:45 segment, can help you out. Ben, when you look at the CAZ Sports Bar, where would you sit at? Well, you're a sports bar guy, I'm assuming. I get sports bar vibes. You like the sports bar.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Where would you sit at if you were to be in the sports bar right now?
Right in front of the TV. Right in front of one of these TVs that are on the wall with a bunch of different screens on it so I can pay attention to everything. Right now, it would be all baseball. I know you're a golf guy. I've never golfed a day in my life.
Cameron Young, 59 today. Shot a 59 today.
What does that mean?
That means he was 11 under.
I didn't know that's what that means, 11 under. I just know
11
that
under.
It took 59 shots to get to where he's at. I don't know what 11 under means, though. Anyways, the baseball side of it, they've got a bunch of baseball games on right now, whether it's the College World Series, which has been phenomenal so far. I actually do really like college softball. It's actually a lot of fun to watch. Some of these women have real pop in that bat. And then as well, a lot of Major League Baseball right now. We're just about an hour away from the Diamondbacks over in Chase Field East playing the Philadelphia Phillies again.
So let's get into the D-backs game today. Let's get into a little soccer, and then we'll talk NBA there, Ben, because you'll give us the knowledge on MLB and for soccer. Let's start with the game today. The D-backs are underdogs plus 210 money line. They're a 1.5 point underdog. From what you saw yesterday and what you see in game 2, what are your keys to the Diamondbacks heading into this game?
The whole thing is really just kind of be loose. One of the things that's really frustrating is last night, sprained thumb from Gabriel Moreno. The Diamondbacks 4-16, I believe, when Gabriel Moreno is not in the lineup. So now you got Tucker Barnhart and Jose Herrera that are doing the catching duties. The biggest thing is just don't get blown out, stay composed. And the biggest thing as well is be able to hand it off to that bullpen. You know, you have Tommy Hendry tonight, who you don't need him to go 6+ innings. You need him to go 5, 4 2/3. Give it some time to hand it off to the bullpen. And then if the bullpen can be nails, you're perfectly fine. This isn't a game where you need where Zach Wheeler's on the mound pitching 8 runs. That's pretty unrealistic. If you can get to that 4 or 5 run mark and then be able to hand it off to the bullpen in the 5th inning, you should be fine. Also, you just got to watch out for these dangerous hitters in the Philadelphia Phillies, and Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner's having an awesome bounce back year from last year. All those guys got real pop in their back. Castellanos went yard last night. So try to pitch around those guys, but as well, Torey Lovullo will have a much better idea than I will when it comes to game planning for this game.
Looking at the odds to hit a home run, Bryce Harper is your leader right now, the favorite to hit a home run at plus 215, alongside Schwarber, like you mentioned, Trey Turner at plus 285. And the leader for the D-backs perspective is Jock Peterson at plus 350, followed by Christian Walker at plus 400. A little soccer, Copa going on right now, the Euros as well. And we talked off the air, Ben, on how you think this U.S. men's soccer team is different than any other year. You think they got a really talented roster, and you got Copa going on right now in the Euros, obviously. You got the Olympics in a couple of months, too. How do you feel about the U.S. soccer? What do you have to say for people like myself who aren't familiar with soccer, but we look forward to the Olympics and the FIFAs of the world to look and root for our country?
Yeah, when it comes to soccer, I'm not going to act like I'm the best guy to give this advice because I'm an all international guy. Yeah, it's tough to be able to follow all these different leagues, whether it's the Champions League or whatever it is. I forgot the other ones. Oh, Bundesliga, whatever it is. All these different leagues, La Liga. It's tough. Like, there's a bunch of different things going on. It's not like the NBA, the MLB, the NFL, where it's the best league. Sure, you have the Champions League, where that's kind of the replica of that. But for me, it's all about international play. And this team, the 12th ranked team, according to FIFA, yesterday when those rankings came out, this is not a United States team where I feel like a lot of people are thinking, just because we're the United States, we're going to win the Copa America. That's not really the case. This is a team that, can they place? Can they be a 4th place team? Can they be a 3rd place team? That's a little bit more realistic. Argentina is the number 1 team in all of FIFA right now. So you have them as well coming as the heavy favorites. They're going to have a tough matchup versus Uruguay, who's also in their group against the United States. The biggest thing for them is you don't need to win the group. You just got to advance to the knockout round. And then after that, anything can happen when it comes to this team. So the whole thing with USA Soccer is, with all this promise, whether it's Christian Pulisic and company, young guys, a much better soccer team than was in years past with those Landon Donovan teams, those Clint Dempsey teams, is you got to consistently make it out of your group. You cannot be one of these teams that's just 3 games and done in Copa America. So a big chance for them to make that next step when it comes to international soccer.
So you look at the odds for the Copa right now. Uruguay is the favorite to win their group at minus 130. USA at plus 145, followed by Bolivia and Panama. And then to win outright for Copa America, the USA has the 5th best odds. Argentina, like you mentioned, is favored at 175. Good. Brazil plus 220. Uruguay in the same group is at plus 550, and Colombia plus 1200, USA plus 1400. All right, Ben, let's talk NBA playoffs, NBA finals, and our biggest takeaways from it. I'm going to start out. I think my biggest takeaway looking at the NBA playoffs as a whole is we're kind of turning the page from the old talent, the old familiar faces, and starting to get to the new familiar faces, the younger faces. And this playoffs was interesting because we had no LeBron for a little, LeBron early, but not towards the late. Steph was out of the playoffs, no Giannis because he was injured. So you started to see the emergence of some young guys. Luka Doncic. I think the biggest one standout, though, would probably be Anthony Edwards and what we saw in that Denver series, the comeback and the upset that they had in that second round. But I love seeing the emergence and what you saw with Tatum and Brown to get the way all the way to the NBA championship and win and finally see those two and the cohesion from that side. What you saw from the Knicks and Jalen Brunson and what they can build there. The Pacers make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think, is a plus with Tyrese Halliburton. And look, they don't have a lot of scoring there, but maybe that's a team that can emerge and compete against the Celtics. But another takeaway of mine, too, I just think we all kind of overlooked the Celtics the entire year. It was like in college basketball with UConn on how, I think this team could beat them. We kind of made cases for ourselves to be optimistic that other teams would win, but in reality, it was UConn. Same thing for here. We made cases that the Mavs were going to beat the Celtics. We made cases that maybe the Knicks got to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics that they would win, but it was always the Celtics, the best roster, the best starting five, and they're currently the odds-on favorite to win it again next year. So those are my biggest takeaways. What would you say your biggest takeaways from the finals and playoffs are?
Two things. I've been a firm believer of you can't win a championship if you don't have a superstar player. I do believe the Boston Celtics did that this year. I've always said you need a guy that's going to be able to get you a bucket or get you a stop right on a dime. And for years past, it's been the case, whether it's been Giannis, whether it's been Nikola Jokic, whether it's been LeBron, whether it's been Steph Curry, or Kevin Durant for the Warriors for so long. That isn't the case. The Boston Celtics never needed that guy. They just blew out teams. I thought the Dallas Mavericks were going to be better for this matchup. They just weren't. They were bullied the entire time from the Boston Celtics. And credit to them for building a team that I believe had two star players in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. These are 2 8 to 10 players in the NBA if you were to rank them. And then you have a plethora of other guys. This has been the first time, and I believe a few years, where depth actually mattered. And yeah, they got some breaks, some injury luck, whatever. This team reminds me a lot of the 2022 Golden State Warriors and the 2019 Toronto Raptors, where they had some scheduling breaks, they had some injury luck, and they capitalized. And that's the biggest thing. And then my second takeaway was, man, the NBA is in some bad hands. I know people like to say, Jason Tatum, John Morant. You can even throw Devin Booker in that mix if you want to. The NBA has done a really poor job of marketing their next up superstars. They keep on putting Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James in the biggest moments and the biggest nights on the biggest television broadcasts, where I believe a lot of people have not gotten exposed to the Anthony Edwardses, the John Morants, and that's why you see some of the ratings decline. It continues to go to, I'm not sure the NBA is prepared for a LeBron James-less, Kevin Durant-less, Stephen Curry NBA. I know we've said who's the next superstar player. It could be Anthony Edwards. We're not too sure who it is right now. I'd still pick Luka Doncic there, but is America going to take a guy that isn't technically their own? So you see the ratings kind of decline a bit, and I wonder how much the NBA is prepared for the next generation of superstars. So that was another take of mine.
No, it's a good point, too, and I'll rattle off of that. You look at the NBA playoffs, and it may be what you said of them marketing Jokic and some of these older players, too. It may have affected the MVP voting. It may have impacted some other ones because you got a lot of voters out there that haven't watched the SGAs of the world, haven't watched the Anthony Edwards, and no offense to them, it's just the smaller markets of Minnesota and Oklahoma City versus the markets of LA, New York, and Philly, if that makes sense. So I think for the NBA, like you said, kind of tough hands. I also think another tough hands, too. Can we get some talent in the Eastern Conference for next season? Please? Can everyone just from the Western Conference, all the superstars and stuff, move east? Because you look at the odds next year, Ben. Celtics plus 300, Nuggets plus 750, Timberwolves plus 850. Then you got the Bucks at plus 900. After that, Sixers, Knicks, okay, but a lot of Western Conference teams. And for us covering the Suns and stuff, this Western Conference next year is going to be even more loaded, and you've got John Morant coming back. What are the Houston Rockets going to build? They've got a young team. What are the Jazz? I know that's kind of the younger tier of the Western Conference, but then you start to make your way up. OKC looks like a dominant team than what they did a couple of years ago with all these draft picks and with what the trade happened with Alex Caruso. And then you got the Mavs, the T-Wolves, the Nuggets who are going to come back with vengeance. I just hope for the Suns, their biggest thing is that talent moves east instead of east to west.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams in the East that I think I still would attest that the New York Knicks would have given the Boston Celtics a real run for their money.
I agree, when healthy.
If they had, even half their guys healthy. The problem is Tibbs likes to play guys into the ground all year, and then they wonder why no one's ever healthy for the end of the season. So the Knicks, I really like, and we'll see if they're able to get that next guy next to Jalen Brunson, because Jalen Brunson's a small dude, and it really, I wonder if he's able to carry a team given his frame and stature, and I think that's a real thing. Outside of Steph Curry, there's not a lot of small guys running the NBA, so I really like the Knicks next year, who I kind of bought into later. I'll never buy into the 76ers and Joel Embiid. So outside of that, the Eastern Conference has a severe amount of catching up to do. Maybe the Miami Heat finally get their white whale, but we'll see how that goes. Right now, it really is the Celtics and everyone else.
So let me ask you this question, and then we'll put a bow on the NBA discussion. Which team right now, in their current situation, if you had to rank, so we got 3 teams I'm about to list. 1 being the least troubling. They're in a good situation. They can make it work. 3, it's panic mode. Suns, Lakers, Clippers. And I only mentioned those 3 teams because during the time where they were creating a super team, teams like the Thunder, T-Wolves, and Mavs were forming for long-term sustainability. Lakers get their guy in J.J. Redick. Clippers right now, they got Ty Lue, but the question marks with Paul George, they've got Kawhi there, and the Suns with the new head coach in Budenholzer and what they have with Kevin Durant, Beal, and Booker. If you had to kind of rank, 1 being they're in a good situation, 3 being it's panic mode, Suns, Lakers, Clippers, where would you go on that?
Yeah, the Suns are in the worst position. That's just, it's tough, but it's true. They're in the second tax apron where there are so many rules to it that I thought I knew all of them, and then until I found out that they can't get Lonzo Ball, and I sounded like a casual on air. The second rank there would be the Clippers. I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Clippers. Their superstars or their stars, Kawhi Leonard and company, they're just not reliable enough. They can't spend a ton of money. They do have assets to trade, but the Clippers still in a decent spot as well. And then the Los Angeles Lakers. They do have a lot of wiggle room. They've got guys they can trade, and they have key pieces that people want. Maybe they get rid of an Austin Reeves for a real star player. But if I was ranking those, Suns are in the worst position. Being in the second tax apron, you are really hamstrung. Clippers at 2, Lakers at 1.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the Lakers and a guy that they really want too, and a guy that wants to be there. Based on that cryptic tweet he had when J.J. Redick was hired, Trae Young, a name to look out for. Austin Reeves, really hot tomorrow, like you mentioned, could be on the trade block. Well, we're flipping the ties next segment. We're going to talk football, NFL football. What teams do we think are the most overrated? What teams are the most underrated? We're going to look at the NFL win total coming season. That's coming up next. Listen to Take the Points, Fox Sports 910.
Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, it's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. You know us for delicious family dinners and huge party pizzas. But did you know we are great at feeding a large group too? Our full catering menu has a ton of variety, so everyone will find something they love. And the best part? We don't charge per head. Just tell us how many people you need to feed, and we'll handle the rest. Check out our catering menu at Venezias.com. That's Venezias.com. Venezias, a family and catering tradition.
Rock for WrightToyota.com. At Wright Toyota, they'd like you to get to know them. Their goal is to make buying your next vehicle the kind of experience that earns your recommendation to family and friends. They invite you to use all of their innovative web tools on WrightToyota.com. So if you're looking for a new or pre-owned Toyota, head to their interactive website at WrightToyota.com. The right price, the right selection, all at WrightToyota.com.
Do you ever have a case of the Mondays? You won't if you tune in to Rock the News with Jimmy B from 1 till 4 as they broadcast live from the CAZ Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar. That's every Monday from Casino, Arizona.
Year after year, Lerner Rowe is voted best personal injury law firm in Arizona. You may wonder why. The answer is quite simple. Lerner Rowe is so popular because we give every client excellent service and a superior experience. But also the main reason is results. We've recovered billions of dollars for our clients with over $1 billion collected in the last 5 years alone. Our phone lines are always open and our legal team is standing by right now, waiting for your call.
Lerner Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Need an all-in-one wireless copier and printer or IT help for your business? Call Document Solutions of the Valley, the official copier and IT solutions company for Rock & Manuch with Jimmy B. Document Solutions is leading the Valley in business solutions for copier and IT service. They'll support your business no matter how big or small. Take advantage of either buying, leasing, or renting many makes and models of copiers. For a free quote, call 623-252-8282. Document Solutions of the Valley. Our service can't be copied.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they've won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
It's not just about what we put into the wash. It's also about what comes out. We can learn a lot about our kids and who they really are. Tide and Downey, proud supporters of iHeartRadio and P&G's Can't Cancel Pride, stand as allies within the LGBTQ+ community and believe in everyone's right to embrace their true selves. Learn more at can'tcancelpride.com. And happy Pride Month from Tide and Downey.
iHeartRadio is the exclusive audio home of NBC's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics. It's the only way to listen to exclusive NBC play-by-play action of Team USA, plus NBC's top Olympic moments, original Summer Games podcasts, and live hourly updates from the games in Paris on the iHeart app and right here on this station. Be sure you have the free iHeart app, the exclusive audio home of NBC's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Live.
That's right. 75 days until NFL football. It's never too early to talk football. We're going to break down some of our overrated NFL teams heading into this season, and we're going to look at the win totals. So obviously, overrated means we're leaning towards the under. And if you don't mind, Ben, I'm going to start us off with my first team that I think is one of the more overrated teams that I'm going to hit the under for, being the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, you look at the win total right now, sits at 8.5. And don't worry, Jake, if you could turn down the music a little bit, we can turn the music down. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. The LA Chargers, under 8.5 wins. I think 8.5 is too much for this team, and here's why. You look at the Chargers, they're in the same division as the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I do think the Broncos and Raiders are kind of those weaker teams, but I think with the Raiders and what they've established at quarterback with Minshew, and you got the Broncos with Sean Payton, I think I'd rather have those than the type of offense that Justin Herbert's going to be dealing with two severely injury-prone running backs with Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Who's he going to throw the football to? You got Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnson. And then on the other side of things, I just think they lost a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball, even though Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Derwin James are great, but I just find a lot of holes with this team. I don't think they're going to be a terrible team, but I have a hard time thinking that they're going to win 9 games next season. So I think the Los Angeles Chargers are my first overrated team. I got them at the win total being over 8.5. My second team, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, is the New Orleans Saints. Now, you look at the New Orleans Saints, a weak division again. NFC South, and last year, if you remember, the Buccaneers won the division. It was a really weak division. The Falcons had some quarterback woes. The Panthers with Bryce Young couldn't protect them. But the Saints, I just don't know what I feel about Derek Carr. Derek Carr was hurt last year. He was getting banged up with the offensive line that they had. You've got Alvin Kamara, who's almost 30 years old, pushing 28. Is he going to be healthy this year? Your wide receiver core, you got Chris Olave as your wide receiver 1. And then on the defensive side of the ball, it just seems like we're getting a bunch of guys that their prime is starting to come to an end when Tyrann Mathieu and Chase Young, and you look at their schedule. Now, their over-under total for wins is at 7.5. You start out with Carolina, which, again, that should be a win. At Dallas, loss. Home against the Eagles, loss. At Falcons, at Kansas City, home against the Buccaneers, loss. So you're heading into week 7, and you're 1-6. You've got Denver, Chargers, Carolina again. You go on and on and on. It's just a lot of tough matchups, I think, for this team. I think for Dennis Allen and their head coach right now, I just do not feel comfortable with the New Orleans Saints next year. I think you could split some games with the Carolina Panthers. I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to be improved. The Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield are a much better team. But for me, Ben, I think the Saints are an overrated team, and I think they could win 5 games next season, and it could be a season that Derek Carr leaves, or maybe they get rid of Derek Carr. I know they got Spencer Rattler as one of their backup quarterbacks. Maybe he gets some time in the back end of the season, but I just don't feel good about the Saints next season. I got them under 7.5 wins. I got the Chargers and the Saints. Your thoughts about both those teams?
Yeah, so I can't exactly find the under-over score here for the team that I think is the most
I got you. I'll look
overrated.
it up for you, bro.
I believe the Philadelphia Eagles are the most
Whoa.
overrated team right now in the NFL. That is a team that defensive back-wise, they have a lot of issues back there. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who was one of their main acquisitions, was not very good last year. Cooper DeJean is more seen as a safety hybrid, probably a slot corner at times for the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see. A lot of the times, those rookie corners or DBs are picked on. I still think that they have huge question marks there. The linebackers aren't that much better than they were a year ago. No, we know they had a lot of injuries. And then Hassan Reddick's gone. The pass rush got worse. This defense has a lot of holes that not a lot of people are talking about. We'll see how great Jalen Hurts is after a kind of a down year for him. And then the Saquon Barkley thing, I've always been skeptical of. Saquon Barkley has had 2,000-yard rushing years, and after that, it's been a lot of, as the kids call it, really mid of Saquon Barkley. I'm not a big Saquon Barkley guy. I'm a big skeptic of him. And again, what more is he going to add to the offense that DeAndre Swift didn't have last year? Compare the stats between DeAndre Swift and Saquon Barkley's best year. They're not that different. So I feel like they were just throwing money at a position that's not a real premium position. And then another team that I believe is...
So the Eagles is 10.5 wins.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't see the Eagles getting 10.5 wins.
Yeah, I don't think they can win 11 games.
I thought you were going to tell me it was going to be like 8.5. I'd have been like, okay, maybe I got to take it back. 10.5 seems really rich for a Philadelphia Eagle team who defensively has a lot of question marks on that team. Their biggest splash signing was a running back, in which everyone tells me running backs aren't that valuable, which I would agree with. And so that's a team right there that I believe is really, really overrated. And then if you could look up this one for me as well, because I believe this one's 11.5 as well. The San Francisco 49ers, I know that they're a good team. When I say they're overrated, it's not me saying they're a bad team. I don't know if this team's going to be really good like they were. Brandon Ayuk has got a huge question mark on him. And usually teams that are really noisy in the offseason tend to lead to disappointing regular seasons. You kind of see this as well with the Cincinnati Bengals. They've been really noisy all year, whether it's T. Higgins or guys getting arrested. The Cincinnati Bengals have been really noisy, but the San Francisco 49ers, this Brandon Ayuk dilemma has been a huge issue for them. They have question marks on the field in terms of what are they going to do if Brandon Ayuk is gone? That's another big weapon. George Kittle's getting older. Deebo Samuel gets injured a lot. Trent Williams is a really good left tackle. Outside of that, their offensive line is a little so-so. And at times, Nick Bosa was boom or bust. I think as we get further away from that Super Bowl season from Brock Purdy, he's going to be asked to do more. And it's not me saying he's a bad quarterback because that's just disingenuous and that's wrong. But do I think he's a top 3, top 5, top 6 guy? No. And the more he's asked to carry that team, the more trouble I believe the San Francisco 49ers are going to be in. And we've all heard of the Super Bowl hangover. That's a real thing. So two teams that I'm highly skeptical of, both in the NFC, San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles.
And it's interesting with that, too. The 49ers are 11.5 win over for the win total for them this season. And you look at some of the odds for the NFC. 49ers are favored at plus 290, Lions plus 600, and the Eagles at plus 650. So 2 out of the 3 favorites to win the NFC. Mr. Benjamin Garcia thinks that they're going to be a little overrated this year. And you look at the Niners schedule, they open up with the New York Jets. They got some tough games in the middle of the season with Kansas City and Dallas. And then you got the ones towards the end of the season where it starts to get cold. You got to go at Green Bay, at Buffalo, Miami. At Miami won't be a problem either. But to your point, Ben, that's one thing about the NFL that they do. The better you play, the tougher matchups that you're going to have. Because why? The primetime games and the marketing. And that's where the NFL does better than the NBA. And that's why the NFL captured Christmas Day as their day, is because they know matchups is what drives fans in.
Yeah, and the San Francisco 49ers, I feel like I have to keep saying this. I'm not saying they're going to be bad. I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs. That is disingenuous. That's wrong. And that's just trying to get a reaction. But to think they're going to replicate exactly what they did the year ago after coming up short in the Super Bowl, in which they didn't play well in any playoff game. The Lions game was gift wrapped to them. Jordan Love was a little over his skis. And then in the Super Bowl, they didn't play particularly well, and they lost that game. So we'll see what the Niners are going to do. I believe that they're a playoff team. But just penciling them in the NFC Conference Championship game, I think is doing a little too much.
So to recap, I think the Chargers overrated. I got the under 8.5 wins. Also got the Saints under 7.5 wins. Ben has the Eagles under 10.5 wins and the 49ers at under 11.5. Well, on the other side of the break, let's flip it, Ben. Let's talk about the most underrated teams in the NFL. That's coming on the other side. You listen to Take the Points live from the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona.
Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
A homeowner just like you decides to fix his roof.
Okay.
He backs up his truck, ties one end of the rope to the bumper and the other to himself.
Smart.
He's working on the backside of the roof until...
What? Wait, no.
Yes, Dad was in tow.
Ooh, was he hurt?
A few bruises and his pride.
Save yourself with State 48 Roofing, offering maintenance, repairs, and replacements. Of course, licensed, insured, and bonded. From residential to commercial. State48roofing.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Investing in a high-quality misting system from Fogco will be the coolest decision you ever make for your home patio, pool area, or commercial property. Fogco, the Valley's original manufacturer of high-pressure fog systems, is one of the pioneers in the misting industry for over 35 years. Let Fogco transform your outdoor living and entertainment areas into a cool and soothing tropical showcase. If you're looking for quality, reliability, and value, get a free quote at fogco.com. That's FOGCO.com.
If you haven't tried G2G protein bars, today is the day. Find them in your local Costco's refrigerated section or online at G2GBar.com. Incredible taste and packed with protein. They are perfect for your on-the-go lifestyle. Check them out today.
There's something that binds us all. The constant hunger to improve. The obsession with every detail. And the reward of a custom fitting taking your game to a whole new level. We're all bound by 2 words said by golfers worldwide. Schedule your fitting at Vans Golf Shops. Find your local store at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
Need an electric charger installed or a TV mounted? Contact AC Electrical Family at aceelectricalfamily.com or call 602-577-1392. That's aceelectricalfamily.com to book your free quote now. AC Electrical Family. Power up with the best.
Jenny!
Hey, Jenny!
Jenny, come on in! Steve!
Hey, Steve!
Steve, how you doing?
So Jack's the gross promo for the show is still running today.
Arena Sports Crew.
All the time, dude. I hear it.
double header, double whammy, basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAC Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Welcome back. Take the Points, the only local sports gambling radio show in Arizona. I am your host, Jackson Groff, filling in, as always, the go-to guy off the bench, Benjamin Garcia. Thanks for coming on, as always, Ben. Appreciate it. Love doing the shows with you. You can follow him at Ben Garcia Show. Host of the Garcia, also helps produce and fills in for The Drive with Jody Ayler. You follow me on Twitter, all socials, at Jackson Groff. Well, we just talked about the overrated NFL teams. Let's talk about the underrated NFL teams in the NFL, and ones that we're going to look at the over in terms of their win total. And I'm going to start us off, Ben, with a team that's win totals at 8.5 wins. I'm going to go in the over with the Cleveland Browns. Here's why. You look at the roster with Deshaun Watson. I think we're kind of overpast what happened in the past with everything with the Texans and him getting the suspension and the large contract. I think he's over that, and he's more focused on football right now. I think he's one of the top 10 if playing at his best with the potential, what we've seen him. He's a top 10, top 15 quarterback in the NFL. And you look at the roster with health coming back with Nick Chubb. You've got a really good wide receiver core coming back with Amari Cooper and trading for Jerry Jeudy, who's going to have a smaller role this season as the number 2 and number 3 alongside Elijah Moore. A breakout year last year for David Njoku and an offensive line that really holstered themselves and protected a guy like Joe Flacco last year. I think with the versatility of Watson on offense, and you look on defense, Denzel Ward, Devin Bush, Jordan Hicks, really stout linebacking core there and a good DB core alongside Zadarius Smith that they got in the offseason, some good defensive linemen, and Myles Garrett will be back again for another defensive player of the year type of season. I look at their schedule. I know their division is going to be tough with the Ravens, with the Steelers, and the Bengals, but you open up with the Cowboys week 1, and the Cowboys are 4-6 in their opening games in the last 10 years. You look at their schedule, you're at Jacksonville, home against New York, at Las Vegas, at Washington. In my eyes, they could start out 5-0. Then you get to some of the meatier part of the season with at Philadelphia, and you got 2 home games against Cincy and Baltimore, which I think they could realistically split those games. You got the Chargers, you got the Saints, Denver. Doesn't really scream anything for me. I think the Cleveland Browns could win 9 games again easily this season and could bolster themselves into a wild card spot. Or even, you look at the odds right now to win the division, they have the 3rd best odds in the AFC North, followed by the Ravens at plus 140, the Bengals at plus 165, and the Browns at plus 480. I really like the Cleveland Browns and what Stefanski's doing right there with Deshaun Watson. I like the Browns as my first underrated team to hammer the over at 8.5 wins. Your thoughts, and then your first underrated team.
No, the Cleveland Browns are interesting. They're a team defensively, one of the best in the NFL, probably going to be the best next year. I really like Kevin Stefanski. I feel like he got a bad rep for the Cleveland Browns. I don't think it's crazy. A sneaky team to win that AFC North. We know it's not often teams go back-to-back there with the Baltimore Ravens last year winning it. We'll see. It's really more about, is Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals going to be back? Because if they're going to be, then that's just a really hard division to get to that amount of wins that they need. A team for me that I believe, unfortunately, is I dislike this team with everything in my heart. The Seattle Seahawks being at over under 7.5 wins does feel a little criminal to me. They're good everywhere outside of quarterback. And Geno Smith, we all know, is not terrible. He gets the 20th, the 19th, the 18th best quarterback in the NFL. He's not a top 10 guy. He's not a top 15 guy. But we know he can be serviceable as a game manager for the Seattle Seahawks. You see Mike McDonald last year being able to shut down that 49ers defense on Monday Night Football. I like the fact that they went and got a younger guy and really brought into the culture of what the Seattle Seahawks are. A team that plays hard-nosed defense, runs the ball really well, and seriously, they've got both of their tackles are good. Their interior offensive linemen aren't awful. Their center is good. Their running backs are good. Their wide receivers are good. Noah Fant's a fine tight end for them. And then defensively, they've got dudes everywhere swarming to the ball, being held to the Kyle Shanahan equivalent of a defensive-minded guy in Mike McDonald. So the Seattle Seahawks, as much as I hate it, 7.5 wins feels really low for a team who has a really good culture and has a really good ownership top down when it goes to head coach, owner, all that stuff. So the Seattle Seahawks going to be a much better team this year.
And to mention, too, they got one of the best home field environments in all of the National Football League. It's a tough place to play. And you mentioned the wide receiver core, one of the best in the league, so young that their tight end position doesn't even have to be a need. Noah Fant knows his job. He knows what to do there and doesn't have to be a liability on offense. And then you mentioned the defensive side of the ball, really young and talented group with Witherspoon, with Woolen, and they re-signed Leonard Williams, who fits their scheme there. I like everything you said there, Ben. The Seahawks are going to be a tough team, and you wonder when they finally get their quarterback situation right. Sam Howell could be the future one. You never know with the offense that they have there with Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator from Washington, now the offensive coordinator in Seattle. Mike McDonald had a history with the Ravens and Michigan having those top defenses there. They're going to be scary, and as Cardinals fans, us ourselves too, I'm not looking forward to the Seattle Seahawks in future years if they can figure out the quarterback position.
I just disrespect that godforsaken team in Seattle with their fan base who is way over their skis.
So annoying.
That's won one championship and has been largely irrelevant for a really long time.
Hand the ball off, Seattle. Hand the ball off.
I dislike that team and organization so much. You have to be honest. They're a really well-run organization with now a mastermind at the controls at the defensive coordinator, now head coach position. So Seattle Seahawks going to be a real tough out this year for any team, especially the San Francisco 49ers, who always get played tough from the Seattle Seahawks.
My second underrated team, and I'm going over 9.5 wins for this group, is the New York Jets, and here's why. The biggest skeptical for this team is always Aaron Rodgers going to be healthy. He didn't have any health issues until last season being the Achilles tear. And I understand the Achilles heel is a sensitive injury, and it's not one to be messed with. But you're telling me with a roster with Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, the two fastest running back wide receiver duo in the National Football League, you got healthier with the offensive line. You brought in a guy with Tyron Smith, and you drafted the Penn State offensive tackle in Fashanu. The defense looks fast, tough. You got C.J. Mosley, Quinnen Williams, Hassan Reddick, a guy from the Eagles that you picked up too for the Jets. But not more importantly that, I mean, yes, the 9.5 wins. I think they can win 10 just based on the roster. I think the division is significantly going to be weaker this season. The Bills, who's Josh Allen going to throw to, and their secondary is depleted. The Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa, yes, you re-signed Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but that wide receiver core just seems a little too tight for me, and I feel like teams started to kind of figure out this offense and what Mike McDaniel has there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you've dealt with injuries the past couple of years with the Dolphins and Bradley Chubb with Jalen Ramsey. I think it's their divisional win. I like Aaron Rodgers, and I think the only thing for the Jets, if you should say, is can he stay healthy, is going to propel the Jets over 9.5 wins. I like my chances there with the over 9.5 wins. And if he does end up injured, you got Tyrod Taylor to back him up there instead of Zach Wilson. And you would think with the talent on this roster that you could propel and win the division or be in a contention for a wild card spot and win 10 games. I like the Jets over 9.5 wins.
Yeah, I'm not too ready to bail on the Bills and winning the AFC East. I have a lot of respect for Josh Allen. I think he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. The Jets as well. This is a team that was going to be on my list until I know that you had them on there. The offensive line is much better than it was last year on paper, and that's a real thing on paper. They got to get out there and prove it. Defense, it's basically the same defensive team from last year, coached by Robert Saleh. I think this is a team that's disrespected a lot when it comes to the media because people don't align with whatever it is that Aaron Rodgers believes. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not so sure what he believes at times. And I couldn't care less. He's one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. And he's a guy that, yeah, he's a little bit older, but all the early returns out of camp is that he looks better than ever. I couldn't care less that he missed a couple of days. Now, the Jets mentality, if you're a Jets fan, is Super Bowl or bust, which is just stupid. But if that's your mentality, no, I don't think the Jets can win the Super Bowl. But can they get over 9.5 wins? Yeah, and I think fairly easily. They have a large lull in their schedule in the middle of the season where it just feels like win after win after win after win. Or it might be actually be earlier in the season.
No, you're 100% right. Like they start out at San Fran, it's gonna be a tough game. But at Tennessee, home against the Patriots, home against the Broncos, home against Minnesota, home against the Bills, and then at Pittsburgh, at New England. So you look at those first 8 games alone, they could go 6-2, worst case scenario, 5-3. You just need 5 more wins and you cash that over.
With Aaron Rodgers at your quarterback, and you forget that Tyrod Taylor's there. That's a really good point that you brought up. Secondly, for me, the team that I think is severely underrated, I think it's because they have a polarizing quarterback, is right here in Arizona. I think the Arizona Cardinals, it was at 6.5 wins, which was just felt like free money, but now it's 7.5. This is a team that I believe is going to win 9 or 8 games this year. This team, if they can be a middle-of-the-pack defense with Jonathan Gannon at the helm, who I think is way better than I originally thought when the Cardinals did hire Jonathan Gannon. New wide receiver core, much better wide receiver core. Trey McBride, year 2 in terms of breaking out. We know it's his 3rd season. The offensive line was pretty good last year. They continued to stack that in the draft. And I have to believe that Monty Austinfort can draft after seeing his first draft class be outstanding. This team as well with a quarterback in Kyler Murray, who I think is a top 4 quarterback in the conference. Their schedule isn't ridiculous in some instances. They get some scheduling breaks, like they get the Bills at the beginning of the year when there's no snow and they're trying to figure out some things. I really like the Arizona Cardinals being a sneaky good team this year. Not a Super Bowl contender, maybe not even win a playoff game. But I do believe this team's going to get into the playoffs given the fact that the quarterback play is so bad in the NFC. And the Cardinals, I believe, have a really good one in Kyler Murray, and I believe he's going to be unleashed this year in that Drew Petzing offense.
And that's another one. If the quarterback can stay healthy with Kyler Murray, they can easily hit over 7.5 wins, being 8. And those are the overrated, underrated teams that we'll be looking for the NFL season. Well, coming up, we'll bring Casey from the CAZ Sportsbook. We'll talk about some of the lines right now in terms of soccer and MLB, and we'll put a wrap on show of Take the Points. Appreciate y'all for listening and watching. We'll be right back after this break.
Take the Points. Our Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Any car dealer in Arizona can compete on price. That's what dealers do. But not many dealers can compete on customer satisfaction. Like Wright Toyota. Make the right choice. Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. Just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard. And online at wrighttoyota.com.
In a recent survey, when people were asked who they thought the best personal injury attorney in Arizona was, more than 9 out of 10 people chose Lerner & Rowe. In fact, Lerner & Rowe has been voted best personal injury attorney in Arizona for the past 9 years. Our experience, reputation, and proven results have made it possible for us to recover billions of dollars for over 150,000 injured people. At Lerner & Rowe, getting you the best result is what we do best. Hurt in a car, truck, or motorcycle wreck and need a check? Call us today.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
What's up, guys? Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. On Instagram and Facebook, hashtag sexy roof status. At State 48 Roofing, we are family owned and operated, born and raised in Arizona. We'd love to give back to our schools and community. Contact us at state48roofing.com.
Attention drivers, stay alert, Arizona. All City Towing, Arizona's largest towing storage services contractor, supports the move over law. If you see emergency lights, cool, sounds good. Slow down. Let's keep our roads safe for everyone. Sponsored by All City Towing.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the valley at saltriverrewards.com.
You ever have a case of the Mondays? You won't if you tune in to Rockin' the Nooch with Jimmy B from 1 till 4 as they broadcast live from the CAZ Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar. That's every Monday from Casino, Arizona. It's a sprint. Meet G2G protein bars. Grab and go fuel for the office, links, and daily grind. Score an 8-pack at Costco or explore flavors at G2GBar.com. Quick, delicious, power-packed G2G protein bars. Setting your pace.
Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
Jenny, come on in. Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Steve, how you doing?
Meg.
Meg, nice to see you. Hey, Meg.
Arena Sports Grill. Come on out for the sports, off-track betting, incredible food, and friendly faces. The best daily specials in Scottsdale. Arena Sports Grill, 62nd Street in Bell. We know you.
Need an electric charger installed or a TV mounted? Contact AC Electrical Family at acelectricalfamily.com or call 602-577-1392. That's acelectricalfamily.com. Book your free quote now. AC Electrical Family. Power up with the best.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations like Freeform Radio. Search Freeform Radio and listen now on your free iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good.
A small commitment at least one day a week helps reduce ground level ozone pollution and helps us all breathe easier. Bike instead of driving. Fuel after dark. Commit to one day and help keep ozone away. Visit maricopa.gov/AQ to learn how you can help.
It's not just about what we put into the wash. It's also about what comes out. We can learn a lot about our kids and who they really are. Tide and Downey, proud supporters of iHeartRadio and P&G's Can't Cancel Pride, stand as allies within the LGBTQ+ community and believe in everyone's right to embrace their true selves. Learn more at can'tcancelpride.com. And happy Pride Month from Tide and Downey.
To take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Appreciate y'all for listening, watching online on YouTube and Twitter. Right now I'm looking, we've got 61 viewers. Woohoo! Let's go, baby. Looking at our beautiful faces, but those listening around on the first day of summer, we do appreciate you listening. It's a great day out there today, Ben. It's nice and cloudy, 99 degrees. First day of summer. Doesn't get much better than that. Might have to go hit some golf balls after this.
Also, that's just streaming viewers. There's a lot of listeners on the radio.
Oh, hopefully more than 60.
There's definitely more than 60 on the radio listening to us right now. So if that makes you feel any better as well. So that's good.
We look at the games for today. MLB's on right now, WNBA, and I know Ben, you're a big WNBA fan.
I'm a
as
Caitlin Clark fan.
All right, well, let's get in discussion. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Part 3 tomorrow. It's a pick 'em right now. The odds on that are pretty even, and I believe that game's going to be on ABC or ESPN. I can't recall which ones.
It's on ESPN.
On ESPN.
I know people were saying that they want that game on ABC, and I remember it's being on ESPN. So I believe it's going to be on ESPN 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. Well, Caitlin Clark, continues to get the disrespect, and we've talked off the air and stuff like that. The impact that she's had on the WNBA and what she's had for private jets and allowing WNBA teams to fly privately instead of commercial. The disrespect, do you think it's more media-driven? Do you think it's player-driven? Or do you think it's a mixture of both? Or do you think it's just one of those things that we don't have a lot to talk about, so might as well just kind of talk Caitlin Clark?
Yeah, the biggest thing when it comes to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is I love both, but I love them both differently. I love Caitlin Clark because she's the hero in this scenario. I don't know if you watch a lot of Marvel movies like I do, but I'm always going to root for the hero. I'm not going to root for the villain. I love to hate Angel Reese. Angel Reese is the villain in this scenario, and credit to her, she has absolutely adapted that role and wanted to be that. She's quoted saying, she's like, I'm cool being the villain. And there's a lot of movies I like as well, strictly because of the villain. You think of The Dark Knight with Joker. That's a great villain. You think of Thanos and Marvel. These are great villains that get you to watch the product. I'm not going to try to pander to anyone. I never liked the WNBA for years. It lacked star power. It wasn't fun to watch. The aesthetic of the game wasn't great. This isn't me just picking on people. You need stars. There was a time that the NBA was like this. Bird and Magic changed that. Jordan made it global, and that's what Caitlin Clark is doing. I have never watched a WNBA game start to finish until Caitlin Clark came into the fold. Now I catch myself checking box scores, and that's the biggest thing. But here's what I've continued to beat this drum as well. I'm not going to coddle Caitlin Clark. She is. I don't coddle LeBron James. I don't coddle Devin Booker. I'm not going to coddle Caitlin Clark. She's gotten this far not because I've coddled her, but because she's good enough and she's a star power and she has the personality to be one. So I'm excited to I will actually make an attempt to watch this game yesterday. Now, this isn't an NFL game where I'll clear my schedule, sit on the couch and watch it. I'll put the game on the television as I work out and just keep tabs on it. So I'm excited for it. And honestly, I kind of hope for some retaliation from Caitlin Clark. Not cheap shots, not nothing crazy, but I like rivalries. There's a difference between being Pat Bev and being Draymond Green, where Draymond Green now has kind of gotten to that issue where he can be a little much, but Pat Bev just tries to hurt people. And that's not what Angel Reese is. She's a physical player, and she's the villain in this scenario. And I love to hate Angel Reese, and I love to watch and root for Caitlin Clark. And so hopefully they continue to build off that, and God forbid any injuries for either of those guys, because we just saw Cameron Brink go down, and that sucks for the WNBA.
Love Cameron Brink.
That was a polarizing player as well. So, yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I'm a big Caitlin Clark fan, and hopefully they can continue with it, because when there's more sports to talk about, that just makes our job easier as well. So I'm not rooting for the WNBA to fail. That'd be ridiculous.
Game tomorrow at 1 p.m. The Fever are 1-point underdog. Basically a pick 'em between those two right now. You got Copa America, Euro, like we mentioned before. The Stanley Cup on Monday right now is also a pick 'em. The Oilers are minus 102 and the Panthers are minus 118. You've got the Travelers Championship and PGA Tour, which I love and I'll be tuned into right now. Scotty Scheffler, the favorite at plus 175, and you got a ton of guys low, which will be a fun tournament and a fun turnout as that comes to a stretch. But last but not least, we got the MLB game tonight. The D-backs Phillies. D-backs plus 1.5 or 1.5 runs against the Phillies at the Phillies. They're a heavy underdog tonight on the money line. Look, I want to take the Diamondbacks. I probably would lean towards the 1.5 there being plus money. Look, if you can get plus 114 and you got a 1.5 point run differential, I think it's a bonus when you bet on the D-backs after what you saw last night in that game. Your pick, D-backs, Phillies. How do you see this game tonight going?
Zach Wheeler's on the mound against Tommy Henry. It'd be disingenuous if I picked the Diamondbacks to win this game. And I don't think it really matters at this point. This is a team that needed a win last night to just avoid getting swept in the series. And now they're playing with house money. Try to win one of these two games. Not a big deal if you don't. Zach Wheeler's a dominant pitcher, though, and it's going to be tough to get on base with him. So I'd probably take the Phillies tonight, and I would lean what you said as well. Just take the runs for the Diamondbacks if you're going to bet that. But overall, the Phillies are probably the safer bet here.
He's Ben Garcia. I'm Jackson Groff. We appreciate y'all for watching and listening. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Fox910 Saturday, at Jackson Groff, myself, at The Garcia Show. Or Ben Garcia Show, excuse me, for Ben Garcia. We appreciate you filling in as always, Ben. Thanks for coming on. I'm sure we'll see you shortly soon. But for Bauer, who is on the road, for Jackson Groff, that was awful. I am Jackson Groff. We appreciate y'all for watching. Appreciate y'all for listening. Take the points. We'll be back next Saturday to talk all things sports betting. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Let's go get lunch.